Liverpool 4, Bayer Leverkusen 0. What? I was not expecting that. I was watching the first half of the game. I was bored, so I was mostly focusing on the Sporting Manchester City game. I was like, Leverkusen, good side. This is going to be a tight game. Liverpool came in that second half, and I don't know what it is about Arne Slot in second halves. It's like he can just figure out what the opponent's doing, tell his players to do that. Liverpool come out in the second half, this monstrous side, and Leverkusen could not deal with Liverpool on the transition. 4.12 XG to Liverpool to Leverkusen 0.8. 5 big chances to 1. Leverkusen are a good team. They're a pretty side, but they got obliterated by Liverpool in that second half. And someone said this on Twitter. Just a reminder, Bayer Leverkusen have only lost twice in all competitions since Jordan Henderson last played for Liverpool. And I think one of the things that's been said around Liverpool a lot this season under Slot is, they haven't been tested. Okay, look, Liverpool played Man United. You guys absolutely battered us. I don't know if Man United was a test because we were just atrocious, but you battered us. You beat Chelsea. You drew to Arsenal away, which I know Arsenal aren't at the best, but it's difficult. Chelsea have been very good this season. You beat Milan, who've beat Real Madrid. You've beat Leverkusen, who've lost only 2 games since Jordan Henderson left Liverpool. They beat a good side. I was looking at Leverkusen today. I was looking at Hincapie. I was looking at a few players at Leverkusen. In that first half, I was like, I like Leverkusen. I like some of their players. And Slot just did what he did versus Ipswich, what he did versus Brighton, what he's done in multiple games this season. And Liverpool just come out monstrous in the second half. And Liverpool have played Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, and Brighton difficult side. I think they're like 5th in the Premier League, and Leverkusen, and they've won all of those games with a draw to Arsenal. I was looking at this fixture list a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, you know what? And I think I did a video in the last international break. I said this will be the test for Slot. Slot has had Man United. I couldn't call that a big challenge because we've been really bad this season. I was like, this run of games will be the test for Slot. Win, draw, win. Slot is passing the test, and I don't like that. But you know what? Manchester City lost 4-1. I was really enjoying the Sporting Lisbon game today, and I'm feeling positive about Amorim Ball. So while I don't like Liverpool winning, Manchester City getting battered at the moment, at least I'm getting something out of this week, and it's Amorim to batter Manchester City. Going into the Liverpool lineup, I'm going to give you some rough thoughts, but I want to talk about Luis Diaz, and I want to talk about Curtis Jones in particular. Tsimikas has looked good lately. I think he's almost looked a bit better than Robertson this season. Kelleher, one of the best second keepers in the league. Trent, you know what he's capable of. He might have second thoughts about Real Madrid this week because Real Madrid are rubbish. I was watching a bit of the Real Madrid game as well. I had like 4 games on at once. Gravenberch, solid, good game. Gravenberch's now becoming to that point where he's been really good all season, that this was just another good Gravenberch game. Used to it. McAllister was okay. I actually think that McAllister's not been as good this season compared to last season, although he was probably Liverpool's best player last season. But he's still good. But I think Curtis Jones and Ryan Gravenberch have impressed me a lot more than McAllister in recent games. Salah took on a more of a creative role. I actually thought he had quite an underrated game in terms of his creative responsibilities. Diaz was lethal, hat-trick for him. And obviously, Cody Gakpo had a good game. So I think most of Liverpool players had a good game. Well, in fact, I think every Liverpool player had a good game. They won 4-0, but some better than others. But Liverpool, not only are they top of the Premier League, but they're top of the Champions League. Now, luckily, this doesn't mean they're going to win the Champions League because then they just go through to the next round. But Arne Slot, no transfer window. Liverpool were really falling off the back end of last season. I was like, this might be the season where Liverpool have a bit of an off season because Klopp's left. I was like, no, they're not. They're having a good season. I don't like it. I don't want to deal with another, oh my God, Liverpool can't. I don't want to have another season where Liverpool could win the Champions League and Premier League. I feel like every season for the last 5 years has been Liverpool or City are going to win the Premier League or the Champions League. It's felt like. And then obviously City bottled a final and came to Real Madrid. I don't want to deal with this again. Honestly. But let's talk about Luis Diaz. And then I will talk about Curtis Jones because they were the 2 standouts for me. I do want to talk about other players. Konate's been excellent lately as well, especially because I thought he might have missed the game through injury. So Diaz versus Bayer Leverkusen, 35 touches, 3 goals, 4 shots, 3 which are on target. Missed a clinical today. And I think one of my biggest criticisms around Diaz was I've always rated Diaz. I've always think there's a good player there because I'm someone that, as a fan of football, I always like players that are direct. They want to take on their fullback. They want to make something happen. They have that drive. And I think Diaz has always had that. But there's always been question marks around how clinical he is. Today, 3 shots on target, 3 goals. 3 out of 4 shots went in. He also made a key pass, 9.3 surface score rating, but he was clinical. He was in the right areas at the right time. He was lethal. And Arne Slot is getting the best out of Luis Diaz. I think Arne Slot's ability to improve Diaz, even improve Gakpo, improve Gravenberch. I think Tsimikas looks better. Konate was fantastic under Klopp, but I think it's been extraordinary, the player improvement we've seen in Diaz. And someone said this to me once, and we had a conversation about Diaz. I was on a podcast once. This must have been a year ago. And they said Luis Diaz, and we'll talk about Luis Diaz because he had a bit of a drop-off at that stage. And they said to me, don't sleep on Luis Diaz. They said with the right environments and systems and players around him, Luis Diaz can be lethal. And we're seeing that under Slot. We're absolutely seeing that under Slot. And I think, a lot of talk about Anthony Gordon in the summer. I think it would have been a good signing for Liverpool at the time. But actually, I look at it now, and I don't think Liverpool need Anthony Gordon when I look at Liverpool right now. I think, they probably want another reinforcement in attack. But I think I look at Liverpool and I think, well, they never really replaced Matip, and they probably want a DM so then they can maybe push Gravenberch further up. If I'm Liverpool, I go for Subamende in January. I go for someone that maybe a left back, left centre back hybrid, someone that can play left back and left centre back. That's what I'd do if I was Liverpool in the summer. Because I look at the Liverpool attack, Gakpo and Diaz competing on the left. You do not need Gordon. And today, and I think Slot got it right. I think Klopp would have played Gakpo centrally and Diaz on the left, but I think Slot got it right because Gakpo is a winger. And I think Diaz's pace and electricity, I think, on the sort of transitions, which was what Liverpool did, worked really well centrally for Liverpool today. I thought he thrived there because he was so sharp. He had that instinct in front of goal. He was ready there to chase them down, to press, to cause a lot of issues. And I think his intensity and athleticism caused issues. I think Liverpool weren't at their best in the first half, but yet again, they come out in the second half with this new level of intensity on and off the ball, and it gave Liverpool this momentum, and it pinned Leverkusen back, and it was making it harder for Leverkusen to play out, and the constant pressure then was Liverpool going at it. And I think that because Luis Diaz as a player is direct, he's known for 1v1 skills, dribbling, he can press, he plays at high intensity, he's got that forward drive. I've always said, I think in the right system of confidence is a good player there. And today you can see the confidence in the air as he's getting on, the shots he's taken on. But he has such a high intensity to his game. He always wants to get forward. He always wants to make something happen. He always wants to take on his fullback. And you can't criticize a player like that, especially if they have the work rate. And he's always had the work rate and the support going back. But I think it's his 1v1 ability, his pressing. He's a very top-tier athlete. The way I describe Diaz is the amount of running he can do in a game, the fitness he has, the explosive skill and speed, but ability to trap back and then link up play and score and get in the right areas, and the instincts he has on and off the ball. I think he's got everything that you'd want in a winger. If you're a manager, it's about finding the environment to get the best out of him, and I think that's what Slot's doing. Looked better in front of goal, as I said, relentless 1v1, keeps defenders under constant pressure, constantly looking to pin the team back. And I think so far this season, I believe he's got 9 goals and 2 assists in 10 starts. So his statistics are really going up. Salah has 9 goals and 9 assists this season. We will speak about Salah. That's crazy. But I thought his second half performance was showing his 1v1 ability, his dribbling, his athleticism, but also he looked very well at calmness, and he was helping Liverpool play directly and, maintain that pressure in the final third. I thought he had a really, really good game. A player that I think gets well over-criticised for Liverpool. I've been seeing him get a lot of stick lately. And if you know me, as much as I don't like Liverpool, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Curtis Jones in the sense that I think he was overhated. I actually said that Curtis Jones would be a good profile for England because we were sort of, I think Liverpool fans, there was a point where Maino, this was in March, got called up for England and Harvey Elliott didn't. I think a lot of Liverpool fans were getting annoyed that Harvey Elliott wasn't called up and Maino was. But I said, if anything, Liverpool fans, and Curtis Jones was injured at this time, I said it would make more, if Curtis Jones was fit, I could understand you being mad about maybe Maino ahead of Curtis Jones because Curtis Jones is the profile England lead. But I never got, Liverpool fans getting upset that Harvey Elliott wasn't called up, but Maino was, because Harvey Elliott and Maino are very different. But Maino and Curtis Jones, I think they both deserve to be called up for England. It's not a competition between them. I actually think that Adam Wharton's been quite poor as well. But I look at the player that England need between maybe Rice and Bellingham, and the profile of player is a Curtis Jones, is a Maino. Harvey Elliott is more of a Bellingham, Palmer. He would Foden, he'd fill those same kind of areas. And I think, he's the kind of player that England need in terms of him and Maino. That third spot is really for grabs in midfield. It seems it's going to be Bellingham, maybe Palmer or Foden in the 10, Rice in the 6, but that number 8's for grabs, and it needs to be someone that's technically secure. It needs to be someone that's good on the ball, which is why Maino was there and was the right decision. But Curtis Jones is that kind of profile of player. And I think he's one that maybe will get picked up for England. But I've always said about Curtis Jones is I think there's a good player there that knows how to take care of the ball. And I think sometimes he keeps the ball too long, but I think the manager wants him to do that because that way you know he's not going to give it away. He can help Liverpool sustain pressure. And I think he can make the little little things in football look easy. So here's what I wrote about Curtis Jones. Here are my notes. I said, he's performing really well at the high level this season, particularly in big games under Slot. I thought the Chelsea game was fantastic. I thought today he was fantastic. The big games, when Slot gives him the opportunity, whether it's coming off the bench versus Brighton, whether it's starting, I think he's performing. I think his passing has really been shown lately. He's been taking up more 10 roles, and I think the positions he's been taking up is particularly interesting, and I could talk about that in more detail, but I don't want to make this video super long. I think, the way he set up Diaz for the first goal was fantastic. And it's not just the pass for how he set up Diaz, but it was the way that he ran into space to receive the ball, turned, found space and laid off the pass. It was everything in that. It was the vision, the creativity, the movement, the confidence under pressure, which I think is a really rare asset to have. I think, for me, he's really doing well off the ball. I think his movement is obviously been really good off the ball, but on the ball, he brings ball retention, can deliver sharp, accurate passes. And I think Slot is deploying him more between 8 and 10, where he's getting a bit of creative freedom. And I think it's 2 games he's made 2 really good passes, one to Diaz, one to Salah. And I think, he's showing actually he's quite good at moving into the space, always making himself a passing option, making sure that he's available for a line-breaking pass. And when he gets the ball, even if it's in a high-pressure, difficult area, he's shown that ability to be comfortable receiving the ball, turn, and actually keep the ball in those higher aspects of the pitch, which does help Liverpool sustain a bit of pressure, as well as off the ball. He's able to disrupt the opposition's momentum. I think he's quite good at winning the ball back and reading the game off the ball, but I think he's bringing a little bit of control to Liverpool in terms of helping them maintain possession and limit the opponent's momentum. I said on Curtis Jones, and some of these are notes from what I wrote about him back in March before he got his injury, and he was having quite a good period under Klopp. But I said, I've always felt that he's comfortable across all phases. He can contribute to defence and attack, whether that be build-up, whether that be passing, whether that be creativity. I said he's always technically good. He's good in tight spaces. He can pass. He can resist the press. He can cover ground. He's got all the stats, all the attributes that you would want in a midfielder. And that's why I was talking quite highly of Curtis Jones in sort of March time when we're talking about the Euros. I said he's one that's being slept on, Curtis Jones. I think in general, just versatile, as I said, can cover all phases, drop back and build up. He can drive the ball forward. He can cover large space. He can win duels. He can make an impact in the box if needed. He can shoot, he can score. He's got a very good skill set. I think physically there's elements of his game, could get pushed off the ball a little bit, but I think he's very over-criticised. And I think this season he's looked better than McAllister and he's looked better than Szoboszlai when he's played, and he'll give Slot a bit of a headache there. So Slot might be thinking, who do I play? But I think because he's technically skilled, because he's all right physically, because he's got a good IQ and a good work rate and good pressing, and I think that he's a player that Slot can use in so many ways. And because Slot is a manager, and I did a video about the real reason why I believe Liverpool's top of the league, and the real reason I believe Liverpool are top of the league is because of all these adaptations that Slot makes in the second half. So Liverpool come out a bit different, a little bit unpredictable. And I think Curtis Jones, because he's got so many good attributes to his games in terms of intelligence, technical ability, pressing, work rate, he's a very good asset for Liverpool to have, because no matter what he's asked to do, he seems to be able to do it and make it look easy. My general thoughts on Liverpool Leverkusen game was Leverkusen, tough opponent, and Liverpool battered them in the second half. I think there's been people saying Liverpool haven't been tested yet. They've not played anyone hard. Leverkusen's not easy. Liverpool battered them. I think Liverpool in second halves have been brilliant. I think Slot's adjustments, they need to improve in first half. So I thought Liverpool were really good in transition, exploiting space. It's almost impossible for Leverkusen to defend against Liverpool. They conceded 4+ XG. Liverpool beat Man United 7-0 with 2.4 XG. They've got 4+ XG, nearly double that tonight. Curtis Jones was standout. I thought Gravenberch was solid. Diaz, Gakpo, Tsimikas, Konate, Van Dijk all did well. I thought Liverpool's intensity with and without the ball in the second half was a noticeable difference, which I think is why they were so on top. I thought Salah did well, playing in a more creative role, 2 assists, connecting well. Diaz was sharp. And I think when you look at Liverpool's recruitment, not just the players they brought in, but bringing in Arne Slot, how it's worked so quickly and effectively, you have to give Liverpool's recruitment credit for that. But they need to back Arne Slot and give these new contracts out and get him someone in January. 9 goals and 9 assists for Salah tonight in the UCL, having a very good season, looking back at his best. And he looks like his heart's in Liverpool and he wants to stay. So I do wonder if he gets given a new contract. But again, I don't think it was Salah's best game, but the I think Salah's creative side's really underrated in terms of the level of pass he can produce. Gakpo has 8 goals and assists in 8 starts as well this season. I think Gakpo's going to definitely get his numbers up and up this season. He's almost been warmed up into the season, but he's been phenomenal lately. And I think Slot might stick with that front three of Gakpo on the left, Diaz in the middle, Salah on the right for Liverpool's next game, which is Villa, is it? I don't know what your next game is. Let me know down below. And then I thought Konate was absolutely solid. I think him and Van Dijk have been a top pairing. Liverpool fans, let me know your thoughts down below on today's game. I will be back with some content tomorrow, probably on the Arsenal game if I get time to watch it. And then I'll be back at the weekend. Thank you for watching. Bye.